You're listening to Flying Casual, a Star Wars podcast. Here's your host, Michael Canterbury.
Holy smokes, did you see Chapter 8 of The Mandalorian?
Yes.
Silence from Luke. I'm assuming that is an affirmative. He has seen Chapter 8. Luke, that's correct, right? Oh, Luke, I had him muted. That's why.
Sith plots all around.
Sith plots. I muted the wrong. That's embarrassing. Now I thought Luke was playing a prank, like he muted himself or something. I have the wrong thing muted. It's very deceiving. The Roadcaster. It may look very simple, but it can be complicated. I unfortunately had the USB input muted and not the phone. Or just the opposite, I guess. Don't let me run the switchboard. Don't let me run it.
I thought I would just be the speechless cutie for the episode, like Baby Yoda.
Luke is bringing in the YouTube views, I will say. He's bringing in that steady stream of, I would say 25 to 35-year-old ladies and men. Because he's that handsome, he attracts everyone. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and mute Luke, and he can just sit there and use his big brown eyes and bring you all into the podcast.
I think you just gave him like a smile and look pretty.
I mean, yeah.
Sorry, Luke. You deserve better than that.
I mean, very clearly, Luke is not, the encyclopedia of this podcast. Very clearly, he brings no substance or knowledge to this podcast. So I mean, we'll just mute him. He can do a song and dance or something, or mostly dance. I'm kidding. That is a total joke. If you guys have been listening, Luke is the most knowledgeable person I know of Star Wars, so he is an integral part of this podcast, and I'm glad you watched Chapter 8. That's my bad, Luke. I thought you were playing a joke, and the joke's on me, per usual. Well, that's good. I'm comfortable that we actually can have this podcast now, because I was a little worried that we started here and no one had seen Chapter 8, but hope you guys did, and if you haven't, then turn this podcast off, casual fan, because we're going to be talking about Chapter 8 of The Mandalorian today. Also going to be, I have some more thoughts about the Rise of Skywalker, and I know Holly does as well. Holly brought up a great point about the Rise of Skywalker. She doesn't remember it, but I made a note in my phone because your point was so well taken, and I was like, I'm going to write this down to remind you because you won't remember.
I wish I knew what I said.
And Luke,
it'll be like 51st dates.
She's like, what did I say? Tell me, was it awesome? Yes, it was amazing. Luke, did you see The Rise of Skywalker for a second time yet?
Mike, why do you do this?
I knew I should have showed up at his house and kidnapped him.
No, I haven't seen it again.
Well, we're going to go off that week-old memory then, which you might forget the film in its entirety now. A week from it, you've been handling the kids a lot, wife's back at work, lack of sleep. I mean, you may go into the film with fresh eyes and may not remember any of it.
Hopefully.
We'll get some new perspective. But so we're going to be talking about that today, guys. And so, I mean, the Skywalker saga is done. The first season of The Mandalorian is done and in the books. We now have a good month and a half, 2 months of no new Star Wars content on the television or on the big screen. We are going to be sinking our teeth probably into the comics and some novels. Holly's got a really fun book club idea out there for the Patreon. She's a huge book reader, reads books very quickly, and loves Star Wars. So I was like, here's all my novels. Read them all. Luke's also a very quick reader, so he would probably be a great asset for that as well. But Star Wars is coming out with new comics. They are starting a new Star Wars mainline, which is going to be focusing on the time from Empire to Return of the Jedi, which is really fascinating. I still need to finish the first mainline between A New Hope and Empire. I know Luke's going through it right now, so Holly and I need to catch up with that. But this is an exciting time in Star Wars because Luke knows that Darth Vader is his father. There's going to be some nice inner monologue. You know he's going to be talking about it. You know Vader, we're going to see. This is a great time to show Vader kind of battling with, his thoughts now. And ultimately he betrays the Emperor. But, was he thinking about it before? This is going to be really fascinating stuff to read. So we're definitely going to be covering that. And it's a prime opportunity to do so with, no Mandalorian to talk about. And I'm sure we'll continue to talk about the Rise of Skywalker for a while. So we're ready to sink our teeth into that. But, Holly, you had a little something special for the beginning of the podcast, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. You sound ill-prepared. Are you prepared?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
This is going to be fun. Full disclosure, we're not making a sacrifice here on the podcast. Luke, you are safe.
Well, he might be.
Or
we'll see.
Hello.
Luke, how much do you remember from 8th grade English class?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Mrs. Zabo.
Taught him all about adverbs. Holly, you have a Star Wars themed Mad Libs.
I do. And so I thought that we would start this episode off with the world according to Yoda.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
But you guys are going to write it. Oh, this will be fun.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I don't know what to expect. Here's full disclosure for me. Yes, English is my first language, but if you asked me, I don't know, Holly, what, few minutes ago, what an adverb was, I would really have to think about that and say, what's an adverb? Luckily, you jogged my memory, and I was like, oh yeah, totally, yeah. It's been a while since we've had those elementary English courses.
Yes.
So adjectives, adverbs, nouns, all those fun things.
Well, we're just gonna casually fly through this.
Well, thank God.
That
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we going to trade off you and I, Mike, on our answers?
We're gonna write this together.
Don't worry, I will walk you guys through this.
Now,
It's gonna be a train wreck.
do we need to distinguish between nouns and pronouns? Does it have that on there? Or
I
does
will
that
tell-
it goes?
Okay, here are the ground rules.
Okay.
I will call on one of you.
Oh Jesus, this is gonna be embarrassing.
And I will tell you what I need. I will tell you if I need a noun, an adverb, an adjective.
Okay, but no pronouns because the pronouns I don't remember. Is that bad?
A pronoun is just like him, her.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, it got that.
She,
Yeah.
it,
This
they.
isn't an English, podcast.
Oh, I
though
mean
we're
it-
speaking it.
It could be.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. So super simple.
Yeah,
I
you
will
got it.
call on one of you guys.
Yes,
I will
Ms.
say, give me a.
Do we have to raise our hands? I mean,
No.
okay.
Oh, I can't see Luke. Sorry, Luke.
I'll
So
let
I
you know
wouldn't
when he's raising.
I will select.
Phrasing.
Okay, so those are literally the only rules.
That's the
I'll
ground
call
rules.
on you, and then you'll give me what I'm asking.
A train wreck in the making. I love it. Let's do it.
For. Okay, Michael, I'll start with you.
Oh Jesus!
I
On the
need,
spot. I'm sweating.
and it has to be. You guys, this is like we'll consider this kind of like
Yeah.
we did the hyperspace inquiries. It's got to be
Quick.
fast.
Oh,
The first
man, but not
thing
with, not
you
with
think
school
of.
stuff. Oh, okay.
All right, Michael, give me a verb.
Oh,
That's an action word.
yeah. Run.
Okay.
It nailed it. Can I get a? Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Nailed it. That was fast phrasing.
Luke, I need a verb.
Thrusting or thrust, whatever you want to go with.
Ooh, hello.
Okay, Michael, I need a noun.
That's
That's a person, place, or thing.
Crawdad.
Okay.
That's the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know why.
I love it.
That's random.
Luke, I need an adjective.
Portly.
I hope it's about the crawdad.
Oh, wait, or is that an adverb? No, it's an adjective. Yeah.
You said
That works. Portly.
portly?
Yeah, I think she thought you said Hortly there for a second, and we were probably gonna have to look that up.
I don't know. Okay.
Portly.
Michael, give me a noun.
Oh man, a lot of nouns.
Yes.
Shoulder.
Yes. Luke, I also need a noun.
Gundark.
Is that a noun?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Okay.
It's a creature.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
Michael.
nest of Gundogs.
I mean, it's gonna work.
Perfect.
Michael, I need a noun.
I'm getting all the nouns.
Yep.
Royal toe.
Ew.
Why am I going for body parts?
I don't know, but
Full disclosure again for the podcast listeners, I do have a royal toe. Did not know that for the 32 years of my life until this very year. We'll talk about it later. Holly, sorry for interrupting.
okay, Luke, I need an adjective.
You're getting all the difficult ones.
It's just a description.
Yeah, but that's hard.
Is it
Phrasing.
to describe?
Tall.
Perfect.
It's a tall crawl, Dad.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah. Oh.
This time I need a plural noun.
Oh. Killer whales.
Perfect. All right, Luke, I need a body part.
Ooh. Say penis.
Don't we already have enough of those?
Say penis.
I know Michael kept giving him, but
Say penis.
wow, I feel like you're being led on.
Absolutely. Phrasing.
No.
Stop influencing.
Nose.
Nose?
Also
No.
known as a penis, but we'll take
That's
nose.
not true. Okay, Michael,
Yeah.
the last one. I need a past tense verb.
Belly flopped.
Perfect.
Nailing it.
This has taken a really strange
But that's
turn.
okay. This is a long. You picked a longer one, right?
No, I picked a short
oh,
one.
wow.
This is a short one. This is the shortest one I could find.
We could just do a whole episode of Mad Libs then. That's a
I mean,
great idea.
we could do it.
That's probably going to be a special.
Do you want to hear what you came up with?
I would love to. Do I have a drum roll on here? Just a second. Nope.
I mean,
That's the anticipation at this point, right? No.
you're hitting all the wrong
I mean,
buttons.
That one's pretty cool though, but nope. No. I mean, that's probably a pretty good one for this, but I don't think I have one. So
Okay.
we'll pass.
Do you want me to read it?
Yes.
Okay. The world according to Yoda. So these these are just all of his mantras, right?
Okay.
The
or
first
mantras if you're
whatever you
an
want to
a-hole.
say.
But yeah.
Um,
I'm just kidding.
Yoda's mantras.
Yes.
Okay. Number 1. Run or run not. There is no thrusting. All right, number 2.
Yeah.
You guys wrote this together. I'm
Yes,
very
we did.
impressed. A Jedi's crawdad flows from the force. But beware.
Yeah.
Anger, fear, aggression, the portly side they are.
Oh,
Once
wow.
you start down the dark shoulder, forever it will dominate your gun dark.
Sexy. Oh, the dark shoulder.
Uh-huh.
That's a theme on this podcast now.
Number 3. A Jedi must have the deepest royal toe. The most tall mind.
Ooh.
Number 4. A Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and killer whales, never for attack.
Oh, God. But they attack so often.
Yeah, well, killer whale.
Yeah.
Could have said killer space whales.
Damn it. Missed
Damn it.
opportunity.
Purga.
I'll just mute myself tonight.
Yes. Number 5. Clear your nose of questions.
Ooh.
That's gross.
Get him out of there.
Just,
Yeah.
and the last one. You must unlearn what you have belly flopped.
Wow. We nailed it. Oh, is there a
No.
last mantra?
What's this royal toe? Is this a genetic disorder?
Ooh, I'm going to tell you all about
disorder.
it. It is a disorder.
It's
Luke.
not a disorder.
Yep, I'm in the minority. You were saying how
I was just saying, I think that run or run not, there is no thrusting.
I mean, that's
Words to live by.
that might be the mantra of this podcast.
Oh, mantra.
Yeah, sorry, I'm one of those assholes.
Do you say scenario?
Yes.
In what scenario would you say mantra?
I
instead
learned
of
from Dane
mantra?
Cook that made you an asshole. But I don't know if we can talk about Dane Cook anymore or not. I don't know if that's acceptable. But anyway, Luke, the royal toe is a condition. I want to call it a disorder. And can I defend myself here?
It's your toe.
When I go shoe shopping, okay, I very nearly have to buy 2 different shoes because there's that much extra length on that thing.
But don't they check the box to make sure you're not buying 2 different shoe sizes?
Well, what are they going to, I mean, do they, or they make sure you're not smuggling socks in the shoes or
no,
something?
I think they check the sizes.
Is this like a long middle toe or second toe?
So the second toe peeks out past the first one, and it's
okay.
Yeah.
I just thought it was broken my entire life, and Holly's like, "Oh, you have the royal toe." I was like, "Come again? Excuse me."
He thought I was
Am
lying.
I owed money?
He was like, "Did you just make that up?"
I thought she did. That was very clever of you, but it's a thing, and 25% of people have it, something like that.
I don't know if it's. I don't think it's that high.
It's not that high. Well, you know what? We're gonna take a poll.
Post it in the group.
Facebook group of all the people in there. We're gonna see who has a royal toe.
Do you want me to post it?
Actually, yes, I do. I mean, you could do it now, or you can do it after the. You know what?
Yeah.
Let's do it now, and then we're gonna see how many results we have at the end of the podcast. Because I'd love to share that, not live, but you know what I'm saying, at the end of the podcast. But also, everyone in the group's gonna be like, "What the hell is going on there at Flying Casual? These people have lost their minds." First of all, what the hell is a royal toe? And second of all, why are we talking about it? So no, this isn't, a biology or anatomy podcast. This is a Star Wars podcast. But
I mean,
the royal toe is a serious thing, Holly.
A little column A, a little column B.
A little column B, a little extra length on the toe, a little run or run not. There is no thrusting.
There is no thrusting.
That's the mantra, right?
That is the mantra.
Perfect. Well, that was a lot of fun. So if you haven't taken the poll yet, let's get in there and folks see if you got a royal toe or not. If you don't know what it is, look it up.
Your options are I do and a what. So.
Because if they don't have it, they likely don't know about it. But then again, myself, I had it for 32 years and I had no idea.
You had no idea.
Or does it develop over time?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Well, why didn't my parents say anything? Like, what the hell's wrong with this kid's toe? We cut this thing, shave it down a little bit, right?
They do that.
I know. I almost considered paying the money just to be a little more comfortable in my shoes.
I mean, you still can.
That's true.
The choice
Now
is
it's just
yours.
I'm just gonna have the Quasimodo of toes, and it's gonna be hooked its entire life. Disgusting. So I can't show my feet, people. Anyway,
You just channeled your inner Schmidt and went with it.
I did.
Disgusting.
Just as handsome and just as good of a dancer. If you watch New Girl, you understand that reference. But so hope you guys enjoyed Mad Libs. We're going to start doing that a little more regularly because that's a good time. And with a little more alcohol, I think it could get even more interesting.
Hey, now that we got you guys warmed up, we could do a longer one next time. Phrasing.
Yeah, now that we thrusted you with our royal toe, we'll go ahead and enjoy some more Mad Libs. But so, guys, I want to get some discussion. I don't know if Luke, if you have any other discussion points for the Rise of Skywalker, anything that's come up in your mind since you last saw it, or is it just like I got to see it again before I even think about it?
Yeah, not many new thoughts I didn't share last time around. It's probably going to take that second viewing to make some more things percolate up to the surface. I'm all Mandalorian brain at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Now, I want to get this out here because Holly brought this up. What were we watching? Was it Jedi Council?
I don't really know what you're going to say. So
it's the note that I took about what you said.
I don't know what I said, though, so I can't tell you.
Reading it now, it sounds a little funny, but I wanted to get something down, so I remembered it. But we were
Why don't
watching.
you read it, and then I can give you the context.
Let me preface it with that we were watching Jedi Council, and someone was making a point about it being a better story with Rey having to overcome her heritage more so than coming from nowhere and doing the right thing.
That conversation got me so worked up.
It got you so worked up. And here's the notes are here, folks. If you can see them, I'm reading it. This from my mouth to the iPhone. Rey is good, and she is good before she knows she's a Palpatine. She's not aware that she comes from evil. She's just good because she's a good person, not because she's redefining herself.
Did I say that?
In so many words, you said that.
Can you read it one more time?
So, Rey is good, and she is good before she knows she's a Palpatine. She's not aware she comes from evil. She's just good because she's a good person, not because she's redefining herself. So the way they were talking about on Jedi Council is if Rey needed to redefine herself because she's a Palpatine and she needs to now do the right thing, and she's given the middle finger to evil and that heritage. But it's just like she had been doing that this entire time. She didn't just all of a sudden become good, and this is why she's so hell-bent on defeating the Emperor. No, this is how she's been the entire movie. Right, Holly? That's the point you were getting
Not even
across.
the entire movie. She's been like this since The Force Awakens. The first impression that we get of Rey, she saves BB-8.
Yeah.
From Luke. Who did she save?
That's just Tito.
Tito.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have to remember the scene.
And I'm like, what people would go out of their way to rescue a droid from something like that, especially when they have better things to be doing. And then she turns down all the credits to keep the droid. Like, he offers her so many credits for the droid.
It's the rations.
Oh, the rations. Yeah. And then she's like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
60
portions. Yeah, the portions. That's right.
We both got it wrong.
That's so wrong. I was like, oh, stupid, Holly. Jesus.
Yes, Encyclopedia, correct us.
Oh, my God.
No, that was perfect. Yeah. So, I don't
Phrasing.
know. The first things that we see her do are ultimately, like, selfless things.
Yeah. Helps Finn, even though he, looked like he was creepily stalking her. She, just did the right thing so many times. In The Last Jedi, you look at the cut scenes where she sees these the caretakers and supposedly being raided, just takes off running. Luke's like, no, like you, a good Jedi would not. She takes off. So I didn't. They made it sound like that information really to me in that movie there was no doubt she was never gonna turn. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no doubt in my mind that she was ever going to reject the Emperor. It just they were making it sound like she learned that information, and then that moment she's like, I can't continue this legacy. No, her legacy was good from the beginning. I don't know. I thought that was a fantastic point that you made, and I think it's the more and more I think about this movie, the more and more I hate the fact that she's a Palpatine.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Let me come out and full disclosure it that I love this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. Hell of a time. Teared up. Favorite part is Han Solo and Ben Solo having that moment. And Leia laying down her life for her son. Genius storytelling. But we did not need her to be a Palpatine whatsoever. You could have had her being a nobody, and the Force is just really, it's always been there, but the Force is determined that's the vessel we need. That's the compass. That's the North Star who's always going to be, pointed in the right direction, and that's the vessel that we need to bring balance. And the Emperor coming back, looking for power, looking for a vessel to bring himself back, could have just sensed that. But no, we have to make her a Palpatine. Luke, are we jarring up any other feelings about the movie? Or is that something you're also struggling with, or are you perfectly content with it?
I get what you're saying. When I think back to our first discussion last week, I said it was a little tough to process the whole development of her being a Palpatine and how we got there, and it was kind of all jarring and fast. Yeah. To go from what we learned in The Last Jedi to that and experience it. But I did say in that last week that I like this dyad concept between her and Kylo. And so you it almost seemed like the Palpatine part had to come with that dyad concept. So I was kind of like, okay, where we ended up in the end, although I was still kind of unsure about how we got there. Yeah. Though when you're saying it now, I think you can do that same concept and leave the Palpatine part out and just say, yeah, they have this strong connection in the Force that started out as one in the light and one more in the dark. But they both have, we're not, it's like modern concepts of gender or sexuality, where you're not like left or right, or male, female, straight, homosexual. There's a fluidity to it. And so like Kylo, I don't think was ever fully dark, and Rey was never fully light. She had dark temptations that Luke talked about, and Kylo had the light that called to him still.
Yeah.
So I think this whole dyad concept, we could buy it, and it could have developed without her being a Palpatine. And just that they are two very strongly connected beings in the Force, without like their yin and yang having to be connected to, well, they're from two of the deepest family lineages in the Force.
Yeah.
I don't know if that made any sense.
No, it totally does. It felt like, I don't know. So many people have been talking about it and just thinking that, well, there were so many signs that was, that's where it was going. And I don't buy that. You could show me the thrusts from the Force Awakens battle all day. And
there is no thrusting.
There is no thrusting. There is only dark shoulder rubbing, whatever it was. It's just, it felt like it was to I don't know.
Okay.
Come on, Holly, bring it home.
I like the idea of her having the Force lightning ability.
Yeah.
I would have liked for us to be able to see someone who's not a Palpatine have that ability, someone who's not a Sith, somebody who's not on the dark side have that ability, and
it's
kind
only
of
a dark side power.
Well, is it though?
That's the thing. Like
it's not now.
You're blending Force powers now with the things that they're doing.
See, it's clearly not only a dark side power though, because she's not on the dark side.
You're absolutely right.
So I think it would have been cool to see that Palpatine senses that she's really strong with the Force and is like, I need her. How do I manipulate her further and convince her? Oh, I'm going to tell her that she comes from my family because she's so desperate for a family that maybe that is the missing piece.
Is it possible that he was lying, or is
I
it
don't
not?
know. I don't know.
Right? I mean, is it?
I don't know. And the whole time, like, I don't know. I thought about this a lot when I was watching the movie the second time. I was like, I wish that we would have gotten confirmation that it was just him trying to manipulate her. He could have lied to Kylo about it, And we still don't know.
Family you have.
We still don't know 100% what he said to Kylo. That was never on screen.
Yeah. I mean, that's JJ's kind of sets us up for a big bombshell, and then cut away.
Yeah. The kicker is that the scene with Luke where he says that him and Leia knew, that one like has really been sticking with me.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if we talked about it much last week, but it's like, when did you and Leia know?
I know, man.
So that I get the whole idea that Palpatine could do it just as manipulation, just because of what it would do to her, what it could do to her, to have to deal with that. And it did shake her. It was sort of the darkness she felt in her, plus that revelation, plus stabbing Kylo. Kind of, she had a breakdown, and she went to Octo and was like, I'm doing the Luke exile thing. And then it took Luke, building her back up for her to turn away from that. But, so I think minus the scene where Luke's like, yeah, we knew you were a Palpatine. You could still hold out in your head like, oh, maybe he was just manipulating her. Palpatine was just manipulating her. But it seems like if Luke is saying, oh yeah, Leia and I knew at some point, that's kind of cementing the idea is, no, that's the truth.
But
true. Come on.
I don't know.
Bring it home. Let's go.
I actually forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, that's okay. That's the alcohol. That's the seltzer.
No, it's not. I just get too excited.
That's phrasing. Wow.
It'll come back to me.
Whoa, also phrasing. Luke, you make a great point, though. Like, it felt like that was just shoehorned in there. Like, because I'm thinking back when Luke was training Rey on Octu, and she's kind of, like, lifting the rocks, and he's, telling her what to do. And he's like, you went straight for the dark. Why are you so surprised if you know she's a freaking Palpatine?
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And also, here's the thing.
know.
I think that if anything was going to switch Rey from wanting to do good to just losing it and wanting to go to the dark side, it would be her learning that the two people she considered parent figures, which was Luke and Leia, knowing this huge thing about her that has
lied.
Been right.
I know, great point.
And I'm like, if she found that out and she was like, these are two people who I consider my family, and I expected them to do the best thing for me and to be honest with me and tell me the truth, and then everything like that I thought they knew, they actually knew more and did not give me that information when I had been searching for that my whole life.
I mean, look, Ben Solo did it to her, and look what she did. Stabbed him in the chest. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, I just don't understand how they handled the situation that way. You know what I'm saying? And that all of this is a product of multiple writers and directors coming in and trying to mesh this together. But if you're going to do that, you have to have a way to explain it, and I don't feel they've explained it that well. Because you're exactly right. Like, this has already happened to her in the past. She has no idea who her parents are. And then you're just going to continue to lie to her about her lineage?
And it's like,
I don't know. Thinking that was protecting her or something?
Like,
I don't know.
They shouldn't have to feel like they have to protect her, because if like they think that she's as good as she is, and that information shouldn't have deterred her from the path that she was on.
You would think. But
why withhold that?
I mean, Luke's in a dark place, but unfortunately we don't get to hear much more from Leia. You know, they probably could have done more with that, and she could have explained things a little more, but I don't know. The way it was all revealed just didn't hit for me.
I wish they would have left the Luke line out where he is talking to her about him already knowing, because it's hard for me to swallow that right now. Knowing this Luke's reaction to learning Vader's his father in Empire, and then in Return of the Jedi when he goes back to Dagobah, and Ben appears to him, Obi-Wan, and he's like, why didn't you tell me? He felt so betrayed that Kenobi gave him the certain point of view rather than just the straight up truth of it. And for him to have gone through that personally and then to do it to somebody else and not
absolutely right,
be straight with him about it, like, that's hard to figure out.
Because knowing that information, he may have handled things differently. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we still don't know when he found out. Did he only find out after he became one with the Force?
Yeah.
Did he know it all when she was on Ahch-To? Like, Did
him and Leia communicate then, like, after he passed? I mean, she's been training Rey. Is she tapping into the Force, talking to Luke? I find it odd that, like, Luke just shows up on Ahch-To, and Rey kind of seems like, that's the first time I've seen him in 2 years. Really? I don't know.
And I don't know. I guess then
we are dissecting the hell out of this movie.
Yeah, I guess then the way that they're filming it is that this is, like, for her the moment that she needs that guidance the most. But I feel like that scene I feel like everybody has had issues with that scene.
One of them being that I get, like, I can see it both ways. The tossing the lightsaber, he catches it, what he says. I can see it being a slam on Rian Johnson. I can also be it. Hey, Luke has grown from where he was, but Luke makes a great point. He's been down that road. He's been deceived by the people he trusted most, and he probably made some questionable decisions without that information, or maybe he would have handled things differently or found a different way. I don't know. I find it hard to believe. Like, you want to talk about Luke Skywalker? That wouldn't be my Luke. You want to have people sit here and trash Rian Johnson, saying that's not my Luke Skywalker. Well, I'm sorry. What Luke Skywalker did in The Rise of Skywalker, that's not my Luke Skywalker. I appreciate that he said you treat it with respect, you do this, you do that, but, like, you wouldn't lie to her like that if you actually knew about that. And I do not think that was the intention with Rian Johnson. I do not think that this was a plan. I think this was shoehorned in there, and it's unsettling for me too, Luke. It's a fantastic point to bring up that, and Holly bringing in those deep cuts. Just, man, this is fantastic conversation, and I want to continue that conversation. I just want to give the Mandalorian some time too. But, guys, fully expect that we're going to be talking about. First of all, we're just going to have to kidnap Luke. I'm going to hire a babysitter. Maybe I'll just babysit, and y'all just go see the movie, and we'll make it happen. But we've got to get him there to get another one, because I know those wheels are turning now. I know he's like, I need to see this freaking movie again. So we're going to get him in there, and we're going to be talking about this movie for a long time, what it did well for us, where it kind of missed the mark. And I know we're kind of bringing up where it missed the mark, but there's a lot of things that were awesome, a lot of cool stuff. But this just in particular, glad you brought it up, Holly, and I'm glad I took the note because I even recalled that conversation.
I didn't recall it at all. But I know that episode of Jedi Council got me so worked up. I think every 5 seconds I was coming into the living room like, what?
I know.
What did they
say?
Two
varying perspectives. Luke, I don't know if you saw it, but it was Emma Fyffe and
Andres.
Yes.
Cabrera. Yeah.
Yes. They
Babsock. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, they had very different points of views, and we tended to land, with Emma Fyffe on a lot of it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna see it again. Probably take my buddy Tom and have him see the movie again. He hasn't seen it at all, so I'll just keep my mouth shut. But see it again. I've let it digest for a little while now, so we'll see that again. More thoughts, I promise, guys. I know a lot of people want to continue to talk about it, but we have to get to Chapter 8 of The Mandalorian. If your socks weren't blown off, then you were sleeping.
I don't think anyone could be sleeping through this episode.
There is no way, and I don't know how it took me till 2 hours before the podcast to text Luke about it, but I was blown away by this episode. The beginning of this series has been a little lull for me, or not the middle of the series. The beginning was fine. Mm-hmm. The middle kind of lulled for me. And then towards the end, you got that with all the bounty hunters, that kind of horror, episode. And then we have the following episode that kind of led up to the finale. Those last 2 episodes really worked for me. And this last one brought it home. Ollie, I want to get your initial thoughts. We watched it a couple times. Mm-hmm. We even did a commentary on it, which I'm going to go back and listen to it. And if it was a good this is the first commentary we've ever done.
I didn't even know what a commentary was.
Well, and so we just plugged mics in and started talking while we were watching it. And it's hard.
It's very hard.
It's hard. I mean, we'd seen it once, but then we went and watched it a second time. It's hard. So if you can't even hear us, or if we were just talking about whatever, MySpace or whatever the hell we were talking about.
Definitely MySpace.
Definitely MySpace. We'll see. But I think that's probably going to be a Patreon exclusive.
If The Mandalorian had a MySpace, who would be in his top 8?
Obviously, the asset would be a number 1.
Kuiil
would be a strong number 2.
Do you think he would have Cara Dune? Or he just moved her up later in the show?
Nah, she'd be a 3, a solid 3. Was there a top 3 or a top 8?
It was a top 8.
Jesus, I don't think there's 8 characters in this show.
Yeah, probably not.
At least that are good.
Thoughts? I really enjoyed this. I think that the final episode was probably my favorite episode of the whole season. It kind of like you said, it lulled in the middle-ish, and there were a couple episodes in there that I just this isn't really like my. It's not something that I would have watched some of those episodes again. But I really liked it. I liked how now I feel like we're starting to get a storyline and we're starting to get some direction.
Absolutely.
I think now they've brought in some things that everyone's like, I have to see more.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
So I don't know. I'm just curious to see where they go with or I know where they're going to go, but like what's going to happen. I hope we get some new planets and some more characters. But overall, I really liked it, and I thought it was a really good way to wrap up the season.
Hell yeah. Luke, what'd you think?
I'll say they really laid down a marker for every Star Wars series on Disney Plus to come, because they came out at the gates so strong on this, and I had some of the same feelings as the both of you have expressed, where the beginning of the season was really incredible, and then you're towards the middle, you're like, I don't know, where's this all going? And then they really finished so strong. And I think the way they finished so strong, and the way that they bring so many aspects of all the episodes from throughout the season that have a part to play in that final episode and have an impact on the final episode is really a great way to wrap it up. So the whole, every bit of the whole season has its value. I don't know if we want to table this for a little later on, but the thing that I'm really stuck with is the sort of epilogue on the Tatooine episode. I think it was episode 5, where Fennec Shan, the bounty hunter who they kill, or seem to have killed, there's that other person who shows up that sparked so much discussion that we had. And we still don't have 100% confirmation who that was. I thought it would come back around before the end of the season. And do we just think it was Moff Gideon, or is it something else that's going to come back around in season 2? So that's one thing that wasn't in the finale. I was expecting to be in the finale, some sort of callback connection to that.
Good call. I actually forgot about that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had people speculating it was Boba Fett or it was Carl Weathers' character. Why can't I ever remember his character?
I thought it was Carl Weathers' character.
I did too. But, yeah, it just was a huge deal, and now it's not.
You know, now that Luke brought that up, first of all, full disclosure, I actually kind of forgot about that part.
I did too.
But Moff Gideon in this final episode is wearing a very similar outfit to what we saw from the feet. He has the cape, he has the boots. So
True.
I think it very well could have been him.
It could have been.
That makes sense.
Did we even see him we never saw him. We only saw him in promo stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we ever saw the character.
Not full body.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
Because that could, maybe that's the lead up to, there's this guy in a cape. Capes are important. So, yeah, I don't know. I saw so much promo for The Mandalorian. I don't know if it was actually in the show or not.
I think at one point in a trailer or a promo shot, they showed him standing in front of the Death Troopers.
Yes, exactly. And so maybe that was just his intro then. Like, there's this dude in a cape. He's important. He's trailing.
I think it could have been him.
I think so,
I
too.
think it
The more
shows
you
how
talk about
hot,
it,
how like hot on their trail he was.
Absolutely.
He was tracking them.
Absolutely.
I don't know though. We could be wrong.
We could. Sometimes we are. Sometimes we're dead on.
Whatever.
Most of the time we're dead on.
Yeah.
So I know that some people had some issues with the opening sequence, but I freaking loved these two scout troopers having a real everyday conversation. Luke, is that something that you enjoyed?
Yeah, I really loved the opening. There were so many funny bits. The part where they kept sort of having the intercom with the people back in the town, and they're talking about how Moff Gideon was like, they hadn't talked to him yet because he was getting mad at people and like, oh, you just killed a guy. Those parts were great. Plus the little target practice where they missed every time, and they're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So many good inside jokes of like, stormtrooper shots are terrible, and the humor for me really worked, and I think they made us all really want to hate those two scout troopers.
Oh my God.
And so that we were really pleased when they got their comeuppance from IG-11.
Yeah, they set that up nicely, and Holly, you enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, I really I could have done without the actual like physical abuse on the child.
Yeah.
If we're getting into it, I think that Disney made a really big mistake by calling the child they called
the child and then they punch it.
And I just think that I just don't think that was a good call on their part.
That's fair.
I think that they could have had them doing something different. They didn't have to have them like physically abusing something that they called a child.
No, that's fair. That's totally fair. And a lot of people have taken to the interwebs to not necessarily make that point, but say like even calling out the actors who were the scout troopers, saying like I'm coming after you, like don't hurt my baby Yoda. So they looked at it more of a joke, but I can see what you're saying. It's just like
it's a tough thing. I think that it's kind of dangerous.
Especially if kids are watching. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's dangerous territory to have humor in a scene where you're also being physically abusive like that.
Yeah.
I think that they tried to kind of lighten it, but I don't know.
And I think they thought maybe it's because it's a creature. It's not so much. If it were a human child, then they.
But then just don't call it the child.
Agreed.
I just don't encourage that behavior on TV.
Couldn't agree more.
A kid's show. But the conversation that they're having, the interactions that the two stormtroopers are having in the beginning, I really enjoyed that.
Hysterical. Now, so the hit for me in their interactions, and even like Luke mentioned, the calming into to base or whatever, just really just gave a nod to the animated shows for me. That it felt, the conversations even felt like they were a nice nod to the animation, and even the little punch, like that's something you would see like quiet down, and that's something you would see in Rebels or the Clone Wars. So
yeah, it seemed very Rebels,
right?
These scout troopers for sure.
Yeah, it really hit home for me. And then freaking IG-11, just like a bat out of hell, just coming out on that freaking speeder, which was awesome. Or wait, no, he walked up to him, right? And he took him out and then took the speeder, grabbed the asset, and was on his way. But yeah, I love that opening sequence. I thought that some people were just like, get me past that and then get to the real epic stuff. I appreciated the way it started. I thought it was awesome. But
I liked it when they like looked at each other and then they were like,
"Oh my god,
a nurse droid." Okay.
Yeah.
And then he like takes them out.
Oh, it was awesome. And I don't know those guys. So you guys know, for me, full disclosure, I'm a mouth reader. I've had some troubles with the mask in the past, but these guys in these scout trooper uniforms were so animated, and their gestures, I was feeling it. I didn't even need to know what they were saying. I knew exactly what was happening. But they just did an awesome job. And I can't even, Jason Sudeikis, I think he was one of them. I can't remember who the other one was. But yeah. They did a fantastic job there. That was a great opening. It was so different. And I appreciate the little risk. I think it was a little risk, but I think they nailed it. So IG-11's got the asset. They're trying to Mando and friends are trying to contact Queel. He's gone. IG-11's got the asset, coming in like a bat out of hell. Just, takes out a ton of stormtroopers on the way in. Our heroes are hunkered down in a bunker or whatever it is that they're in, trying to shoot their way out of there. And IG-11 comes to save the day. That scene really worked for me. You've got a lot of CG coming in with IG-11 and then a lot of real actors going around. I thought the execution there was fantastic. Now, the least believable thing was the Mando picking up that freaking turret and just shooting it like Rambo. I'm like, okay, they got a base for it. It takes like 3 guys to load the thing, and then I didn't buy that, but
I like that part.
It was too reminiscent of the opening episode where he kind of did a similar thing. But you like Rambo, Holly, so I know you appreciated that.
Yeah,
you're a big Rambo fan. Oh, big Stallone fan. That was a terrible Stallone. I won't even try it again. I'll work on it. But so what did you guys think of that scene? I mean, we see Moff Gideon come out and kind of seems like he has no cares. There's gunfire everywhere. He kind of comes out just like, I will take out the Mandalorian with my pistol. Holly, I knew you had some concerns with it. He's like, he's not even ducking or anything. What the hell?
I feel like you're starting this conversation off with the very specific scenes I had issues with.
No, that's okay.
I promise everything else in the episode I really enjoyed. I felt like this scene went on for too long.
It did.
No, I feel like it was too lengthy. It should have been shortened.
It was a little long. Phrasing.
But yeah, see, I liked the turret part, but what wasn't believable to me was him I don't know, unless it's just like, oh, look, they're still missing.
Yeah.
But he just walks through all these bullets that are flying, and he comes out unscathed, and he's just like, I don't know. That was not believable.
Well, he's not exactly the most menacing character, in my opinion. Now we find out that he is quite the villain later in the episode. But Luke, anything specifically about that scene you really liked?
Well, I don't know if Holly was talking about Gideon. Were you talking about more about the Mandalorian not being?
No, Gideon.
Gideon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I took it both ways too, because the Mandalorian just kind of runs out there and is in the middle of everything.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. I think they do a really good job throughout the show of he takes a lot of dings in almost every fight.
Yeah.
And you can see the way the Beskar protects him, because he's taken a shot off his armor, I think, in almost every episode, it feels like.
Yeah.
And it shows how valuable that Beskar has been to him, that it protects him. I think he took a couple shots from the Death Troopers when he was fighting them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I dug the scenes. For me, it didn't drag on too long, and I'm one who's sensitive to sort of gratuitous action scenes going on longer than they need to. So from my end, it was the right amount of action, and then the best scenes are when they're all kind of together interacting as a group, because for the longest time through when you're in the menu screen of Disney Plus and you see some of the screenshots that they use in the menu thing, it gave more of this feel like you would see all these characters teaming up in some way and be together more.
Yeah.
It took to this very last episode to kind of get to there.
Absolutely.
Where now Grief Karga and IG-11 and Cara Dune and the Mandalorian are all working together. And so it was interesting when they would huddle together and figure out what to do next, and then the interaction between the different characters. So it's like, yeah, you get through the fun action bits, which are entertaining for a while, and then you get kind of the heart of what the relationships are between these characters and what they're going through together.
And forgive me if I'm forgetting, because they do have that. They have a couple of moments. Is it after IG-11 shows up and they get bunkered down again? Is that when we learn about, like, Gideon yells out, "I know who you are"? We learn the names of everyone. Is that before or after? That's before the fight.
Because
He
says you have until sundown, because then he finds out that the 2 scout troopers lost.
You're absolutely right.
The asset, and then he realizes that he needs these people alive.
So I had those scenes confused. Okay, because they get out, then they go back and hunker down again. So
and that's when we got the flashback to when Din Djarin, as a kid, was rescued by the Mandalorians. I saw some of the stuff going on in the Facebook group about that. I didn't see it all, but I saw some stuff about the signet of the Mandalorians who rescued him, and it was and I didn't catch this watching it, but people in the group pointed out, I think it might have been Brent and Holly were talking about it, and it was Death Watch from the Clone Wars that was on their signet, and it was really cool to see that in the Facebook group earlier today, because for a while I've been wanting to go back and watch the Clone Wars and Rebels episodes that have Mandalorians in it or Mandalore in it. Yeah. And so I started doing that last night. I watched 2.5 of the first 3 episode series in the Clone Wars, where you first see Mandalore and you see Duchess Satine and Death Watch and Favreau playing his character in Death Watch. And so it was amazing to see that. And as I was watching it, I was like, the color scheme on the armor of the Death Watch is just like what was in episode 8 of The Mandalorian, with the flashback to him getting rescued as a kid, and I hadn't caught the signet bit, so it was great to see other people confirming that. I was like, oh wow, that's a cool connection. And it's like, those in the Clone Wars series, those are not the good guys, the Death Watch guys, but they're the ones who picked up our Mandalorian.
That's it. First of all, the fact that these guys catch this crap watching the show, I'd have to go frame by frame. I don't know if I'm like a freaking dog, then like just anything happen, I'm like, oh yeah. I miss such small details.
If you're into Mandalorian culture,
I guess that's a big
that is where the signet is.
You're gonna make me regret saying that.
No, not at all. I think that you have been very open about how you don't know a lot about the Mandalorian culture,
but I'm appreciating it more after the show for sure.
And I think that was the point of the show. I think that the people who are catching these things are people who already know where to look for these things. Yeah. And so then they're like, oh, what clan are these Mandalorians in? Let's check the signet. And then that's where they noticed it.
You're absolutely right.
But I think that there's so much going on that if you're trying to catch every little detail and you aren't specifically looking for that information, you're not going to see it.
That's true. Yeah, I definitely have made it known that I'm a casual Mandalorian fan.
That's
and I got annoyed with Rebels when it ran so long with it and the parts of the Clone Wars. That's not why I come to Star Wars, but it's becoming a reason why I come to Star Wars, which is great. So I'm learning more things too. I understand the big, legends moments, that was happening, and some of which has become canonized. But yeah, and I'm appreciating it more now. But so that flashback happens. We finally see it all play out, and there, you have the Mando and his family and their villagers running from these separatist droids, and that was so crazy. Seeing those droids in a live action show, it didn't. I don't know. The prequels, it didn't feel real. This felt real. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When those droids show up in a village, the execution is great.
Well, we always saw them just fighting faceless clone troopers, and to see them gunning down just people running around in their village, that was rough.
It was so rough. I was like, because you kind of take you watch, the beginning of episode 3, and you're like, you kind of take them as a joke, but then you see them mowing down villagers just because, it was crazy. And see, they stow away the Mando. Explosion occurs, opens up. And there's one of those droids there. I was like, Holly, someone's gonna come blast this thing's head off.
Sure enough.
And sure enough, it did. And so after I was just, yeah, the Mandos, this is epic. And after we watched it, Holly's like, that was Death Watch. I was like, what? Because I remember Death Watch. But now that like even Luke brings up the freaking color of their armor, I'm like, that should have been a dead giveaway. But when you said that, I was like, whoa, hold on a second. Death Watch was not one of the good clans. Why the hell are they coming and saving these people? And it feels like it's strategic. It feels like there was a purpose, like they were looking for recruits or whatever it is they were doing to build up their clan. But Holly, were you getting that feel too? I mean, they're not here to just save the day, right? It seems that way.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. That's something that I still have a lot of questions about. I don't know. It
was definitely a freaking heroic scene, that's for sure. Luke, what are their intentions? Or is it to get little foundlings? Is it to save this planet from, a separatist, rule or whatever? Are they just taking territory to keep the separatists away, or what's going on here?
Yeah, my mind is racing all over the place, and only because I happened to watch those episodes of the Clone Wars last night. I'm so glad that I did. Because I've told you this story before. I was late to the Clone Wars, and I watched a lot of it on Netflix.
Yeah.
On my phone almost exclusively, because it was in like the first year after my son was born, and I was washing bottles like every night.
Yeah.
And I watched it on my phone as I washed bottles, and to have those episodes on Disney Plus on my regular size TV last night, they looked amazing, and it was incredible. So it was like experiencing them all over again.
Did I watch this? Yeah. I don't remember this.
But for me, my mind is racing because, okay, they've got Filoni on this show who did all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and it was a very specific choice to put that signet on there. They could have left a signet off.
Yeah.
So the fact that they put that on there has my mind racing because, and I'll have to go through the rest of the episodes, but it starts out that Death Watch is aligning themselves with the Separatists. They're working with Dooku to foment, conflict that they can use to overthrow Duchess Satine as ruler of Mandalore. And I can't remember how it all plays out. Eventually they get, taken over by Maul and Savage Opress. But so I'm trying to think like when does this rescue that we see fall in the timeline of the Clone Wars?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Is it before or after the Darth Maul thing?
Right.
Because that's when they split.
There's still so much to kind of learn about that part of the story, and you have to think that Favreau and Filoni have talked about something there and have some ideas, or or they wouldn't have put such a clear signet on there that has such meaning.
Oh yeah.
And so, I like wondering what we're going to find out later.
Yeah.
I feel like that was specifically placed there, especially at the end of the episode when we see the Darksaber, and all of that is connected.
Yeah.
I mean, the Darksaber was the driving reason behind.
Oh my God, yeah.
What happened?
This show is going so much. We joked about that stuff on an episode of how deep this could get. Never did I think it was going to get this deep. Never.
After I finished the episode, I texted a couple of my friends in all caps.
Yeah.
The mother effing Darksabers is all I said, because I knew they had seen it before me, because they watched it early in the day and I watched it at night. And that just hit me so hard, the fact they pulled that in.
It was just... So I think we'll probably get some more flashbacks of his time with Death Watch. And I can't remember, do we even find out what ultimately became of Death Watch? I mean, there's still Death Watch members even in Rebels times, right? It has to be.
I think by Rebels, they're not so much Death Watch. You have in Rebels, there's the Mandalorians who align themselves with the Empire, and then there's the Mandalorians who still want to be independent. That's and right. So we meet up in Rebels with some characters. I think Gar Saxon is the one who's like wants to be aligned with the Imperials and is leading that faction, and then like Sabine's clan and some others are more inclined to be independent,
seeking a Jedi's assistance, or do they do at some point, right? Or is it just the Jedi actually go to offer help?
By that point, there's already been Order 66 and things like that, so there's not much Jedi left. But
I guess I was thinking of Satine and all that.
In Clone Wars, there's the whole Maul kind of takes over Mandalore.
Yeah, and
so it's all over the place, but they're sort of constantly in turmoil.
But and that's eventually their downfall.
What I'm left wondering is what we've heard about this next season of the Clone Wars is it's going to deal a lot with the siege of Mandalore.
Yeah. Great point.
Which is some stuff covered in one of the old Darth Maul comics, because they didn't get around to making the Clone Wars episodes, which they have circled back around to now. So I wonder how closely some of the stuff from this new season of the Clone Wars might tie in with the Mandalorian. The production schedules are tricky there because these animated series take so long to get finished.
And I'm going to go ahead and say that it probably won't, because as quickly as they wrapped up this final season of production, they had most of it already done. The stories were there. But maybe it could. I don't know. Maybe they're tapping from what was written for the final season of the Clone Wars, and that will be future seasons of the Mandalorian. I don't know. But they already had most of the last season written. They just pretty much need to finalize the graphics. At least it seems that's the direction they went. It's just kind of an easy wrap up. Here it is. Clone Wars,
but I feel like the Mandalorian, this season was in production for
it was less than a year.
Oh, was it?
Oh yeah. They shot it. I mean, the thing is, though, Favreau's been writing it.
I was gonna say he has knowledge of everything else that's going on.
Absolutely.
So why wouldn't he write it in a way that makes them tie in together?
And I think they will. I think Mandalorian will seek storylines from the Clone Wars, because the Clone Wars is already set in stone from that point. But
I think you're right, Mike, about a lot of it was set in stone, the stories and things.
Yeah.
But maybe they could have snuck a couple scenes in.
They could.
That have some connections.
Yeah, they absolutely could. But you're right. There's some Maul comics out there that are fascinating. So we'll touch base on those too, and make sure that Holly reads that one.
Yeah, something that I keep thinking about after watching this episode is if that was the Death Watch, and I think clearly it was.
Yeah.
But I think that something that you kept bringing up, Michael, was why were they there? It wouldn't just be purely from the goodness of their hearts.
Yeah.
But then it kind of, I don't know, maybe brings in that nature versus nurture debate. But if the Mandalorian was a foundling for the Death Watch clan, why is he so inclined to go out of his way and make his life harder by taking care of the asset? That seems to be purely for the goodness of his heart. So that's not something that he learned to do.
He rejected the Death Watch.
Right. And so then I'm and we clearly see that who he's with in the beginning of the season, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely going to see him reject Death Watch.
Well, he has his own clan.
I don't want any part of that. Yeah, a little mini clan. I don't want any part of that. And he's going to go off and either do his own thing before the purge happens, gets off whatever it is he does. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how all that plays out, because it's also difficult to take all these timelines and what we already know from years ago now and throwing this in it. It's very difficult to weave it all together, just at least in my mind. But I think you're going to see him, flashbacks of him rejecting them, appreciative for what they taught him, but I can't be a part of this. And maybe they kick him out. I don't know. I don't know how it'll go. But that was a fascinating scene. And when the Mando picks him up and flies out of there and he sees just his village being destroyed, jeez, that's just crazy. And maybe the Mandos were there to conquer anyway, and the Separatists got there first. Who knows? We cut the scene, and we don't see what kind of happens after. So we learn that. We see that flashback. We also see after they fight the Imperials and Gideon shows up, he calls them out and says, I know who you guys are. He names the Mando by name. He names Cara Dune. Knows she's from Alderaan.
Yeah.
Knows she was a shock trooper. Where is he getting this information? It ain't from Alderanian archives, that's for sure. Oh, that's a terrible joke. Too soon. Oh.
You got it.
That was late, but well deserved. So, and he also even knows of, why do I always forget Carl Weathers' character? Grief.
Okay.
Yeah, he even knows who he is. So this guy has some information, and the Mando's mind's running, and he's like, this has to be this guy that led the purge, right? That's how it's revealed he led the purge of Mandalore, supposedly.
Yeah, they give really quick backstory on him, that he was an ISB officer, which is Imperial Security Bureau, which is like the FBI / CIA of the Empire.
Yeah.
And say that, I think he was in charge of Mandalore at one point, and that's how he knows, may have been in charge of the purge, and references sort of, I think that the canon they were setting up being used as part of that Mandalorian purge too, to kind of really strike some fear into them. So that was a good, very quickly filled in little backstory for him.
And I thought that was a genius way of doing it too. Have the villain come out and call them all out and tell us who they are.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
And it makes you want to know more about him.
Yeah.
Something that he said that I'm like, what is that? And I looked it up, and there's no information about it, which is how you know that this is all brand new stuff that Filoni and Jon Favreau are bringing into this world.
Yeah.
Is that he talked about the Night of 1,000 Tears.
Yes.
And he very clearly had a big active role in leading that, if not just the purge, but also that, which I think are two separate events.
Seems like it.
And so what were those?
I don't know.
Well, it struck a chord with Armando.
It did, and it's great that I don't know. This is going to be, we know that season 2 is going to start in the fall of 2020, so we've got a good solid 9-10 months of speculation, getting timelines together. We're going to get a big board and get all the pens and the string and all that fancy stuff, and figure this out. But so we learned that information. Yeah, I thought it was silly when Gideon was like, "You guys got till nightfall." I'm like, why? Why are you waiting that long? Just go in there and take them out. You got 30 stormtroopers or something.
But he couldn't take them out because his scout troopers lost the asset.
And exactly. Yeah. So they didn't have the asset, so they didn't know if they had it or whatever. But so this freaking flame trooper shows up, real BA, right? It felt like it was something out of Battlefront. I was like, let's freaking go. This guy's got to do some damage. Coming in and just laying Haas on this little barracks or whatever bunker. And what did I say, Holly? The flame trooper shows up, and what did I say? I said, Baby Yoda is going to pull a Kanan Jarrus on this one.
Ooh.
And boy, did he. Now, when the flames come, I could have used a little more blue, force shieldy.
Yeah.
It was kind of missing that. But you just see the flames coming, and little green bean just lifts up, just puts out his hands, and just protects all of them. And then pushes the flames back at the guy, and he blows up. That was epic. Now, I, for one, thought he was going to show some force abilities early on in the episode when they were showing up with IG-11. I thought he was just going to, something epic was going to happen. He was going to pick up a bunch of stormtroopers and throw them or something. But, Luke, were you expecting him to show his talents here at this point?
Yeah, I felt like we needed that one more big green bean moment for him to use the force. I love that they have sort of made us think a couple times throughout the series that it was going to happen again, and it didn't.
Yeah.
But we had to get that for the season finale, and it was great. Definitely shades of Kanan. I love that reference.
Yeah.
I get emotional about Star Wars, but I rarely tear up or cry at Star Wars. But that like last season of Rebels, like gets
tough.
me so many times. So that's a great callback. And yeah, it was an epic moment for Baby Yoda there.
Yeah, we call it pulling a Jarvis in this household.
Yeah.
So everyone's surprised, like, how the hell they do that, and then from that point, I think we get our escape plan, right? IG-11 breaks, I don't want to say breaks protocol, but says, like, you guys take the asset, get them out of here, go down the storm. It wouldn't be Star Wars if we weren't going down the drains, right? I thought it was going to be a trash compactor under there or something. That would have been really funny. But take the asset. I'll take care of the Mando. I don't remember what he said, but for a second there, I thought IG-11 was going to turn. Did anyone else, Holly? Did you? No. Luke, did you think he may switch there? Like his old protocol maybe would kick in?
No, I didn't get that feeling.
Didn't get that feeling?
Michael was like hooked on it from like after the first episode. He was like, this droid is going to come back and try to kill the Mandalorian.
But then I think that's the Mandalorian doing a good job of selling me that, like, he doesn't
Droids
trust the guy and that the droids are bad. Yeah, it's just, but which ended up being a huge part of this episode. So,
well, you can understand now why he doesn't trust them.
Exactly. It's all really coming together, and so they escape down the drain or whatever, and IG-11 he's like, I got some Bacta, right, and I'll heal you, and he says, I got to take off your masks though, right, and the Mando just says, no living thing's seen me without this in decades or whatever. He's just like, I'm not living. And that was such a huge moment for the Mandalorian. As much as he's despised droids and, just brushed him off, or, bad talked him or whatever, in this moment, he looked at IG-11 as if he were a living being. I thought that was freaking awesome. He didn't even realize he was having that moment until a little later, but and he lifts his mask off. Holly, I was surprised. Were you surprised?
No.
Not surprised at all.
I was not surprised at all.
Ooh.
I knew that the mask was going to come off in season 1. I think that I've said that the past, 3 episodes that we've talked about The Mandalorian. I knew it was going to come off in this season because of how much they've built it up.
Yeah.
I don't think that they could go through the whole season without revealing the actual character.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and when he talked, it actually made me believe a little more, okay, that is Pedro, in all those episodes. Because I was a little like, is that him? I mean, that voice changer doesn't sound like him. Luke, were you surprised at all? I didn't think they would reveal it this season. I thought they would keep us holding, but there's other things that they revealed that are kind of keeping us waiting. But were you surprised at all?
I was in the same camp as Holly, where I thought we would see it, but I thought it would be more personal. I thought he would reveal himself to another human or Baby Yoda himself on a little more personal level. So it was a little surprising that he only does it because it's a droid and it's not somebody living. So at first I was like, oh, that's not the way I thought that would go. That's kind of a letdown. But then at the same time, I think the part of the gravitas of that situation is he was willing to stay there and die rather than take his helmet off.
That's crazy.
But he eventually came around to letting IG-11 give him some medical treatment.
Yeah.
Even though if it meant taking his helmet off, but he was able to compromise that it wasn't a living thing or whatever. I can't remember the exact line, but there was another great moment of humor there where IG-11 cracked a joke and was like, that was supposed to put your mind at ease.
It's like, what's the damage to your
CPU?
Oh yeah,
your central processing. Yeah, he's like, you mean my brain? That was funny. That was funny.
A joke to put you at ease.
I think, to me, that moment did feel really personal because I feel like he's so opposed to droids, and then for a droid to be who he reveals his actual identity to is a very vulnerable thing for him to do. So I kind of felt like that, for me, that moment did feel a little bit personal because of all the people that he could reveal himself to, he did it to the droid when he didn't have to.
For me, it was the nudge to the crumbling wall that are his emotions.
Yeah.
And the walls that he's put up around himself under that armor, that was the push that just, he is going to start trusting these people. He is, if he's trusting droids, he's really opening himself up because that was a pivotal moment in his life. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, but Luke, I do think that is interesting because I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't think when I was thinking about when he would take his helmet off. I didn't have any expectations or think like, oh, it's probably going to be in front of this specific character. Yeah. So when you were saying that you thought it would be maybe in front of the Green Bean or somebody else, I didn't think like that. So I think that was really interesting.
I mean, sticking to that tradition, right? That is his foundation. What else does he have other than that tradition? I mean, he no longer, hates droids now. He still wants to stick to that tradition, though. It's his base. It's what he falls back to. It's what he knows best. But yeah, I thought that was a really powerful scene, more powerful than I thought it would be. As we go down the drain, we find the Mandalorian hangout, which took a whole half a second. I was like, you could have showed a couple cutscenes of them trying to find the place, but there it is. How have the Imperials not really, aren't there already? And we find out there's a huge pile of Mandalorian armor there, which was crazy. But it left you questioning, like, did they all just abandon the clan here, or did they all die and the Imperials stacked up their stuff? But we see the old blacksmith. I don't know what people are calling this individual, but shows up and lets us know that hey, they raided the place, and we knew what the risk was when we came and saved you. And a lot of people died, and some hopefully survived. But she's just, a BA, right? She's just getting armor. She's melting it down, putting it into little Beskar, whatever, planks, and for later use. But shares a moment with the Mando and Green Bean, and we learn some more. We have some more canon references here. She brings up the battle between the Mandalore the Great and the Jedi, and which was awesome because that's of the little bit of Legends stuff that's kind of bled into new canon. Like they're taking elements of the big war with the Sith, the Mandalorians, and the Jedi, and they're making it canon. And so I thought that was really cool, and hopefully we'll hear more about that. But hints at the Jedi, and that this species is one of those, what do they call them? Wizards? Sorcerers, right? So are they? This is something that Holly and I talked about, Luke. When she talks about these sorcerers, is she talking about the Green Bean species, or is she just talking about the Jedi in general?
Yeah, that's the big question. It could go either way. It's really interesting to let your mind wander and think of eventually at the end of this road that we're going to go on with these characters, that they're going to come across this planet just with millions of Yodas running around. That, I think, won't necessarily be where it all ends up. And I think maybe we will come across more of this species somehow, somewhere.
Yeah.
But not in that way. So I think more in general, he's going to try to find out other Jedi. It's amazing about this time in the galaxy is that this is what several years after Return of the Jedi, the only prominent Jedi we know are out there at this point are Luke and Leia.
Yeah, and maybe Ahsoka.
Ahsoka. So, yeah, if he goes searching out more, Jedi sorcerers, in season 2, there aren't a ton of options at this point. So I'm one really hoping. It was great that we got Ahsoka's voice in Rise of Skywalker, even though I didn't catch it in my first viewing and only know about it because other people said it. Hopefully I will eventually notice that part. I would love for Ahsoka to show up in this series later on, or in the Kenobi series, or heck, in the Cassian series, anywhere. Just Put her on Disney Plus.
Did you see the Christmas card, the
that
drawing that
funny.
Dave Filoni did?
That was pretty funny.
Where he had Gandalf talking to Ahsoka, and he was like, "Don't worry, they thought I was dead too."
What does it tell us? What
Luke hasn't seen that.
I didn't see that. No.
Yeah, so Dave Filoni posted it on Instagram and Facebook. He did because he sketches, and he did a sketch of Gandalf with his staff as Gandalf the White talking to Ahsoka. And literally all the caption said was, "Don't worry, they thought I was dead too." And how did that turn out?
Well, to me, that's just a callback to the Rebels cliffhanger, though, because you saw her last in season 2, and then her fate was left somewhat ambiguously open, and then you see her again in I think season 4. So, I love that reference, but I don't know if it's like just another call back to that, or if he's talking about anything going forward.
Or if he is insinuating that Ashley Eckstein may come back, ask Ahsoka, or be referenced. I don't know.
Well, the response was to the Rise of Skywalker in the last scene with Rey and all the voices, and people were saying, well, Ahsoka is speaking with all of these other Jedi who have been reborn in the Force.
So she probably is at that point.
She passed? Yeah, and then so this was a response to that.
What, 25 years after the Mandalorian that we're watching right now?
So
is it possible that I don't know.
Yeah, they could. So I could see it going both ways. And another thing to say about what we were talking about, I don't recall now, but I can see it going both ways. I could see us going after that species because the more and more we learn about this little green bean, they're immediately strong with the Force, and they know how to manipulate things without, we assume, any training. Who knows? He could have had a little bit of guidance there in the beginning years, but I can see it going that way. I can also see, them running into Ahsoka, and she's just like, hey, I've been tracking down this Ezra Bridger guy for 10 years, and hey, maybe you want to come with me? We'll find him, and we'll start our own little thing. That would be wicked if the three of them got together. Holy shit. Like, that would be insane. Yeah, Sabine shows up. Or, she's with Ahsoka. That would make sense then. He would have a little Mandalorian friend. Mm-hmm. Okay. Are we writing season maybe 2 or 3 here?
Are we going to get censored by Lucasfilm?
Well, Jon Favreau is about to freaking intervene here at any moment, so watch the phone. But
I wouldn't have thought any of this is plausible. Because it's like it's almost too deep and sweaty for some of the maybe more casual Disney Plus audience. But then they threw in the Darksaber.
Exactly.
It's like, okay,
exactly. Everything's on the table.
Yeah,
we're connecting on that level. All right, let's go.
And what better
Death Watch
way?
And all that. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What better way to pull people in and make Rebels relevant again, get people excited for the new season of Clone Wars, than to have people who are just as they say, casual Star Wars fans watch these and then want to know more. And so then they have to go back.
That's exactly what we said that this show could possibly do if they tapped into that. And let's get to that moment, because I do want to talk about that more, and we're running an hour and 22 minutes right now, which is epic, and I love it. So I hope you're down for a longer episode. But so we leave her. They have that information. She's like, "You're a clan now." He gets, him. They're like, "You and Green Bean are a clan. Here's your sigil," which was great. Little clan of 2, a little mini clan.
And they got the Mudhorn.
Which
he had said, "No, don't do that." Before.
And she said, "Slam on you. It's what you're gonna wear forever." Which was awesome. So they're on their way. We do see the stormtroopers come back, and she freaking wrecks these bros. Like, it felt like Rogue One. And oh God, why am I forgetting his name? Chirrut. Yes. Chirrut taking them out. You just see pieces of stormtrooper shrapnel. That was so sick, and she didn't have any weapons. She only had her tools, which was awesome. And I know Holly was just like, "Get it, girl!" Like, she was kicking ass, which was super sick. So then we're at this lava river that apparently hasn't been running for decades. They hop in a ship. They think they're going to escape. They find out they're going to be flanked by stormtroopers. IG-11 decides, I'm going to break protocol here. You take care of the asset. If you can tell me it's going to be safe, I'm going to go to my, standard protocol. I'm going to whoop some butt and self-detonate to sacrifice myself for all of you. way more emotional than I thought. You know, it wasn't a K2 moment from Rogue One, but it was for as little time as we had with him, and from him being a real, you know, dick in the beginning. It was emotional. It was the music, him walking through the lava. You just see him like disintegrating as he goes. And it's like so upsetting.
You hear like Dio in the back of your mind going, sad.
Sad, yeah, sad. But no, thank you. No, thank you.
Also the same.
I will not do that. Yes.
Or no, thank you to this whole situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna wheel my ass out of here. But so that was insanely emotional, and it was great. And they walk out. Now we've got Moff Gideon coming out in the TIE fighter. He's the last man standing. Everyone else is gone, you know, trying to, you know, we didn't even actually talk about the Mando getting his jetpack. Probably should have mentioned that. That was kind of a big thing from the blacksmith. But we were getting attacked by Moff Gideon in the TIE fighter. We fight him off. Mando makes some cool maneuvers from the Phoenix. What they call it? The something of the Phoenix?
Rising Phoenix.
The Rising Phoenix maneuver or technique or whatever it is that he had barely any training on. And he just, hey, training wheels off. I'm going to fly up here. I'm going to take him out. It was wicked. It was cool. TIE fighter goes down. No explosion, really. We just see kind of a poof, cloud of smoke. They don't even check on the bro. They're not like, well, he's a goner, or maybe we should go make sure he's dead.
You missed.
You know, he instigated the purge. We should make sure that guy's dead.
You missed.
Yeah. I'm really sorry.
Another really funny part where
Carl Weathers makes a great joke.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Well, he doesn't make a joke, but he
does.
was like, can't he just like use the magic hands? And then Baby Yoda like,
hands.
or Green Bean like waves, and he goes, hi.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, he's like, dude, baby, do the magic hands. Yeah, that was so good.
The Carl's Weather humor is one of my favorite part of the whole series. One of my probably the best moment of his all season was when Baby Yoda went to heal him, and he's episode 7, and he thought he was gonna try to eat him.
Yeah.
He's gonna eat me. Yeah, that's right.
I also liked when they were stuck in the bunker. Everyone else is trying to be like, okay, what's next? How are we gonna get out of here? And he's just shooting. He's just throwing back shots.
Like a blue, looked like a hard blue drink. But yeah, so he does. It was actually really funny. So we take him down, and you know, the Mando's like, "What are you guys gonna do?" And they're like, "Carl Weathers and Cara Dune are gonna stay on planet. Why? I don't understand. It looks desolate. There's lava. You know, it looks, you know, kind of like Mustafar. If Mustafar were in the winter months, you know, but they decide to stay, and the Mando's like, well, okay, cool. I'm going to fly out of here, and I'm going to go on this adventure, which is great. Like I called it, Holly, out in the sunset, flying through, thought that was it. Camera continues to pan onto the crash site.
As it does.
As it does. We get the Jawas again. We had a couple Jawa appearances there in the village as well, but we've got them seconds after, you know, something crashes going through the wreckage. And I don't know what I was expecting in this moment. I thought he survived or whatever, but you hear this. It didn't necessarily sound like a lightsaber, but it raised an eyebrow. And I was like, oh, he's got some torch he's going to cut. And then it continues to come out. And Holly, you can attest to it, I just freaked out.
I think that's an understatement.
I freaked out, and I started jumping up. And I was like, the Darksaber, oh my God, they did it. I can't believe. And he just whips out that thing. Phrasing. And I could not believe it. We talked about it being a possibility before this show started, that would be a really deep cut if they're going to bring in the Darksaber. Could this all be about him becoming Mandalore? The Mandalore.
Well, I mean, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it technically whoever gets the Darksaber and like wields it themselves is
the leader
of
Mandalore? Yeah.
Isn't that the whole reason why everyone split after Darth Maul came in and got? Because
he had the.
And they were like, he's not even a Mandalorian, and we're going to just agree with it and say, okay, that's it.
Well, that's a lot of what Mandalore is. It's a creed. That's what we hear from them. It's a creed now. But yeah, and it's similar in Legends. You got the helmet. The helmet was the Darksaber of Legends. But now we got the Darksaber, and I could not believe it. I was like you said, Luke. Now everything's on the table. Or Holly, somebody said now anything's on the table. With that information, this could be much bigger than just this one person's like story and cool. Yeah, maybe he'll find his family or whatever he's doing. The consequences are huge. This guy, who doesn't seem like that menacing of a character, apparently, slayed whoever was holding the Darksaber at one point during the Purge, and now wields it. And this could be, the consequences could be huge. Could the Mandalorian get the Darksaber? Could he become Mandalore himself? I don't know. Luke, were you as surprised? I know you had a moment in texting your friends and stuff, but like realistically, were you like, is this happening? Like, I cannot believe what's going on.
Yeah, biggest blow away moment of me for the whole season. Bigger than Baby Yoda for me.
Yeah.
As shocking as that was in episode 1, that reveal, because I had never seen a Baby Yoda before, so I didn't have this connection in history, but to see the Darksaber and to know what that is and how much it plays in Star Wars canon, and to see that the show is willing to dive that deep, because we've talked about this, like those of us who are junkies for all these books and comics and things, and you want there to be more connections, and you want all these things you dive into to mean something and connect in satisfying ways. And there honestly isn't a ton of that. You just have to enjoy a lot of these pieces on their own in many ways. But for this to say, we're opening up the door to this backstory, those of you who know Clone Wars and Rebels, it's really promising that we're going to be rewarded for the type of fans that we are as we go forward with this series. And at the same time, they're not leaving behind anybody, because there's still so many people into this series for what it's done on its own that they can be brought along. They don't have to go back. I would suggest that they do, but they don't have to go back and watch Clone Wars and Rebels. I think they're going to do enough, a good enough job of bringing those people along with what the Darksaber is. And most everyone else watching it, just like, oh, well, that looks cool. I don't know what that is, but that was a cool thing he had.
Yeah.
But then for the rest of us, it's like this freak out moment.
Absolutely.
Where we go just nuts and go down all these rabbit holes trying to figure out what it might mean. So yeah, to me, that last shots of the whole season, and it was the biggest thing for me.
It was, and those, but those freak out moments that we're having, that the Facebook group's having, is going to bleed into those more casual fans that maybe don't know what the Darksaber is. And they're going to say, where can I find this? Okay, I'm going to go watch the Clone Wars, or I'm going to go watch Rebels to see kind of where the Darksaber stands as far as we know. So it could do exactly what you said, Holly, that we didn't know if this would do that, if this show would do that. It could have simply been a kind of underworld. You're seeing the kind of scum and villainy of Star Wars. I didn't even think we were going to see any Force users in this. And then we have Green Bean. I didn't think that we would see any lightsabers, and now we see the Darksaber. Like, they're giving you aspects of the scum and villainy that we all wanted, but they're also giving you the Force and that stuff that those really deep, like myself, those lovers of the Jedi and the battle with the Sith, you're getting that too, because that was part of it. The Mandalore and the Sith and the Jedi and all of them competing for power. So they're finding a way to make all of this work and connect, and I'm loving everything they're dishing out. This episode just really tied things together nicely. Like you guys said, that the characters they brought in mattered. Now we're going to probably see those bounty hunters coming back in. You may see that assassin come back in that we saw. But I don't know where we're going, but we have some sense of direction now, right? Like he has this quest. I'm going to call it a quest. Mm-hmm. It feels like a quest. And this is just out of the goodness of his heart. He doesn't need to go give this thing up to its family or find. He's just doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Now I think that he's obligated to, because she made them a clan.
That's true.
So I think now I think he would before, but now he has a true obligation, because she gave him two options. She said, you're now a clan of two. You can either find his species, which referring to just the Jedi in general, or was she referring to actual, like, the species of, like, Yoda? We don't know. But she says you can either find his species and hand him off, or you will be a father figure to him until he is able to fend for himself. Those are his only two options.
And you know it's going to be a combination, though. You know he's going to end up somewhat adopting this thing, but maybe finding its home, seeing that they are. He is the last. He's the last one. He's the last hope.
Is he?
I don't know. But it's awesome to and this is what I'm looking forward to speculating. And if we do, if the Clone Wars gives us some information about all this, that's freaking awesome. I'm so down. But anything else, I was just blown away by the episode, and we had to watch it again because I was just like, what the heck did I just see? Some of the finest Star Wars I think that I've ever witnessed. Do we all agree that that's a Star War right there? It ain't a movie, but by God.
Yeah, makes me wonder if and hope that Taika Waititi's under consideration for a theatrical release, directing a theatrical release, because we're supposed to get some word on what the next theatrical release, who might be helming that as director, maybe sometime early 2020, and he knocked it out of the park with this episode.
Absolutely.
I love his humor. I'm a fan of like What We Do in the Shadows and Eagle versus Shark, some of his old stuff. I haven't seen his Marvel stuff, but everything I know of his and what he's done with this last episode of season 1 of The Mandalorian, like I'd be totally on board if they announce in a couple months that that next theatrical release, Taika Waititi's doing that.
Absolutely, or maybe the Cassian series or something. I could see the Cassian series working really well for his style of directing. I can see why they're going with Deborah Chow with Obi-Wan, but I could see the Cassian series being right up, especially with that humor there. You give me that kind of humor with K2 and freaking Cassian, I'm all for that. And with that, Lucasfilm has set a precedent with this first season for the seasons to come, yes, but for the Obi-Wan series, for the Cassian series. You're not just going to get Obi-Wan here on a desert planet just, playing sabacc. Like, we could get into some deep lore, and they have set that precedent for themselves with seemingly nothing, with no known characters or anything. So, I mean, I'm expecting great things, and we need to find a way to hold ourselves over for the next 9 to 10 months.
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars will happen.
Rebels. That's
another question I have. Are they going to drop Clone Wars all at once, or are they going to release it weekly? I hope it's a weekly release, but we'll find out more information
Aren't
soon.
they still going to be releasing Clone Wars on the Disney Channel? It's not just going to be Disney Plus?
Because it was
previously it was weekly on Disney Channel.
That's a fantastic question. Maybe it is just Disney Channel.
I don't think they would.
I think it's just Disney Plus.
Okay.
But
we have to find out soon because it's happening in less
February,
than 2 months.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Man, guys, that was an awesome conversation. I'm pleased that we got a good conversation about the Rise of Skywalker and Chapter 8, the season finale of the Mandalorian.
And we get to talk about your royal toe.
And you learned a lot about me in this episode. Boy, the spoilers for those who haven't seen my feet. What's that pointing out of your sock? Oh, that's my royal toe. It sounds like a sexual joke, but it's not. It's a condition. I'm going to say a disorder. But we're going to see. Can you get on the Facebook? Any other results? Mm-hmm. Holy cow. You're going to hear some of these live. You don't have to give names, but I'm assuming if you did the poll, you're okay with knowing that. You're okay with us knowing you have a royal toe.
Well, everybody can see it.
What's the percentage?
2 people have a royal toe.
Ooh.
3 people are like, what?
Everyone's checking their feet after this. I want to be like, I don't know, do I? So that also is very interesting. But if you're on YouTube, you might notice I got a ball cap. No, I am not in the Special Forces. This is an Epic Heroes and Villains cap that my man Luke Elder hooked me up with as a Christmas gift, and it's freaking awesome. I've been wearing it, what do you think, almost daily, Holly? Starting to get a nice bowl cut line here on my hair.
Yeah.
But it's a freaking fantastic gift. So I want to thank Luke publicly for that. And Holly's got one as well.
Sure do.
I'm probably going to not steal, but I'm going to use occasionally.
Well, Luke said that we can fight over it.
Well, that's true. Well, we'll have a duel. A lightsaber duel. That's happening now. The wheels are turning. But yeah, anyone have any final thoughts?
I'll say I just looked up on Den of Geek has an article about the Clone Wars Season 7, and they say we'll have 12 episodes on Disney Plus. And February 2020, no exact date, I don't think. But yeah, 12 episodes on Disney Plus February.
Hey, I'll take it. And I don't have to find a way to watch Disney XD again.
It's just so weird that they would release it on Disney Plus and not on the Disney Channel when there were so many kids that would watch it on the Disney Channel, and now they pay for cable and they're going to have to pay for Disney Plus.
Hey,
I think the saturation of Disney Plus is pretty solid at this point. I've know so many people who've got it. It seems like there's no shortage of subscriptions.
That's true.
Disney don't care. They know you're going to pay for the cable and Disney Plus. They don't care. Well, Casual Fam, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did, and I think these guys did as well. Fully expect more speculation and theories on The Mandalorian and what we're going to see to come. We're going to be talking more about the Rise of Skywalker, what we loved, what we think could have been a little better. Luke's going to want to talk about it after he sees it a second time, and Holly and I see it for a third time. So keep that discussion going in the group. It's been fantastic. Everyone's been so respectful of each other, and they're keeping, the spoilers, hidden. So, people casually coming in don't see anything. But y'all have been great there. So if you're looking for a good group of people to talk about Star Wars, go join that group if you're here, for the first time, or if you haven't joined already. And what did you think of The Mandalorian? What did you think of Rise of Skywalker? Send an email, send a voicemail, get in the group. The group is pretty much where the conversation is happening. So, join that as soon as you can. Anything else?
That's all.
There's also some really fun stuff going on the Patreon. You may or may not hear Holly and I's first commentary. I gotta go give it a little proofread to hear how it went. But Luke, thanks a bunch for joining us. Holly, pleasure as always. Fam, we'll be seeing you next week. May the Force be with you. See ya.